In the world's spotlight, one question looms large. Is 2025 the year North Korea will go to war? The situation on the Korean peninsula has always been tense. But recent events suggest a tipping point may be near. With escalating rhetoric, missile tests, and international tensions at an all-time high, the specter of conflict grows ever closer. But why now? What factors are driving the potential escalation? And what could it mean for the world at large? Join us as we delve into the complexities of this pressing issue and uncover the truth behind the headlines. For the past 70 years, there's been a tense peace on the Korean peninsula. Since the armistice agreement of July 1953, but the big question on everyone's mind has always been, is North Korea getting ready for war? Over the years, there have been some scary incidents like armed attacks, assassinations, and even seizing ships. But despite all these tensions, the peace has held, even with North Korea developing nuclear weapons. The pursuit of these weapons has sparked fears of war, especially during times of missile tests. Now, when we ask if North Korea is preparing for war, the answer is kinda tricky. On one hand, every country's military has to be ready for war. It's just how things are. And for North Korea, being a country that often talks about enemies and threats, the need to show their army is strong and ready. But it's not as simple as just saying yes. Despite all the tough talk and military parades, North Korea hasn't actually launched a full-scale war in decades. So, while they might be preparing for it in some ways, they are also focused on maintaining their power and showing strength through propaganda. So in short, yes, North Korea is preparing for war in some ways. Now let's talk about what's been going on with the Korean peninsula since way back in 1953. Despite some scary moments, like when war seemed like it might happen, it hasn't actually broken out. A big reason for that is the support of the United States for South Korea. They have got a bunch of troops. They are called United States for South Korea to help keep the thing safe. Plus, there is this thing called the United Nations Command that helps keep the peace too. So basically, all these efforts have worked to prevent war. Even though North Korea has been getting more powerful with their nuclear weapons and missiles. And they sometimes say and do scary stuff like attacking to get what they want politically. There is still hope. Sure, there is worry that North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un might use those nuclear weapons one day. But for now, the US and South Korea are standing together. In fact, the US Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, called the alliance between the US and South Korea one of the strongest and most capable in the world. He even said they are ready to fight if they have to. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. It's definitely a big deal and something experts have been keeping an eye on for a long time. In June 2023, the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, released a super important report called a National Intelligence Estimate. This report basically looks at how likely it is that North Korea might use its nuclear weapons in a scary way, like attacking South Korea or trying to control the Korean peninsula. Now, this might sound scary, but it's actually something the United States has been thinking about for a while. The thing is, even though there has been a lot of talk from North Korea, we haven't seen any clear signs that they are about to adopt. Their leader Kim has said some worrying things, like saying they don't want to reunite with South Korea anymore. But that's not totally new. They have said similar stuff before. The tricky part is we don't really know what North Korea is planning or when they might do it. They are pretty good at keeping their plans secret and surprising everyone when they do something big. Like they might threaten to do something scary, but then not actually follow through. And when they do decide to do something serious like attacking a South Korean Navy ship, they don't give any warning. Every year, especially towards the end of the year, Kim holds big meetings with his Workers' Party of Korea to talk about what's been going on in the country and what the plans are for the future. He covers everything from politics to the economy to national defense. These meetings give us a glimpse into what Kim's thinking. But we should talk what he says with a pinch of salt, because it's hard to check if everything he claims is true. Recently, Kim has been focusing a lot on improving North Korea's economy. He has been relying everyone to work together to make things better, even sending soldiers to help out in the countryside. This shows that North Korea isn't gearing up for war right now. But here's the thing, Kim's still really into his weapons. He has been testing new missiles like a hypersonic one and a strategic cruise missile. And when the US and South Korea do their annual military exercise, North Korea tends to get a bit tense and might even make some threats. But don't worry too much. Kim probably isn't looking to start a full-blown war. Even there is some worry that the relationship between Russia and North Korea might make things more tense. Say, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un might feel more confident to act aggressively towards South Korea if he thinks Russia has his back. The White House even said that North Korea is asking Russia for military help, like fighter planes and missiles. Now, there is something called the stability-instability paradox, which basically means that when two countries both have nuclear weapons, they are less likely to start a big war. But they might still have similar conflicts. So, if North Korea gets better at regular warfare with Russia's help, it could lead to some serious trouble, maybe even involving nuclear weapons. But wait, there is more. Kim Jong-un recently said some pretty harsh stuff about South Korea, calling them the most hostile state and saying they are not interested in making peace or reunification anymore. He even talked about taking over South Korea completely. People are wondering what this means. Is Kim getting ready to attack South Korea? Or is he ignoring them until a new government comes along? It's complicated because Kim needs to control what people in North Korea think about South Korea. He doesn't want them to see South Korea as a friendly place, because that might make them question his role. So he punishes anyone who shows too much interest in South Korean music or clothes. It's like he's afraid that South Korea is a threat to his power. Even for a long time, people hoped that China would help put pressure on North Korea to come to the negotiating table about its nuclear weapons. But guess what? China doesn't seem too keen on doing that. China thinks putting pressure on North Korea might actually make things worse in the region without any guarantee of success. The United States, on the other hand, is worried that if China doesn't do anything, North Korea's nuclear program will keep growing, make things even more unstable. Now, North Korea has been cozying up to Russia, which could make things even trickier. China hasn't really seen North Korea's nuclear and missile stuff as a big problem for itself. But if there is a war in Korea that goes nuclear, China is definitely going to feel the hit. The United States wants China to step up and use its influence to stop this from happening. They are trying to get China to talk to both Russia and North Korea to prevent things from getting out of hand. Remember Henry Kissinger? He once said something pretty smart about how leaders sometimes don't know enough to take action when they really need to. He said if people had acted sooner against Hitler, things might have turned out differently. So the lesson here is, sometimes you have got to act before it's too late. So what's the deal with North Korea and war? Well, it's complicated. Sure, they talk tough and show off their military, but they haven't actually started a big war in a long time. The United States and South Korea are keeping an eye on things, and they are ready to defend themselves if they have to. Plus, there is hope for peace talks, even though North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un can be pretty aggressive with his words. China and Russia are in the mix too, but it's all a bit uncertain. The important thing is to stay vigilant and maybe learn from history. Sometimes it's better to act sooner rather than later. Let's hope for the best and keep working towards peace.